friends, thanks for tuning into this video. So I felt inspired to share about how I tune in and basically how I read tarot when I do read tarot, or when I do just intuitive readings in general. There's a couple different principles that I want to explain in this to give an idea of like how I approach tarot when I do it. So yeah, one of the ways, so basically when it comes to psychic abilities, I think everyone has the capacity, I think, and I think it's true that most people do. And there are so many things that you can do to cultivate psychic and intuitive abilities. And everyone is wired differently. Everyone has different predispositions, and inclinations and sensitivities and habits and genetics and environmental conditions, whatever, just influences internally, externally, that kind of blend to create a blueprint of how a person intuits or interprets stimulation and information. And I think that so many different things can influence what defines the particular qualities in which a person is sensitive or receptive to information. But to share a personal example, I am a visual artist. Here is a sample of a piece that is a work in progress that I started this summer. I guess it would be last summer because it's January 1st of 2024 now. But I'm a visual artist, and obviously I'm very visually, attuned to and aware of detail. So I pay a lot of attention to what I see, what I observe. So oftentimes like your tendencies or skills or natural inclinations will translate to how you receive intuitive messages or psychic messages. And so for me, I think partially due to the fact that I am an illustrator, visual artist, very much in tune with, what I see and observe, I receive a lot of visions that just psychically inform me. So a lot of the time I'll receive visions, and usually it feels like a daydream. It feels like, I know some people can't visualize, so I don't really know how to explain this to those people, but I'll do my best based on what I know and what I have. But yeah, I get visions, I see visions. It's like when you're thinking and falling asleep and you are remembering your day, moments throughout your day, the faces that you've seen, and like the way the room looked, and like any interesting colors or textures that you've seen in the day, just little details and things, recalling those things. It's like that's the feeling, that's the experience that I get when I receive a psychic vision. And how do I know it's a psychic vision? And how do I define psychic vision? So, for me, particularly when I do tarot readings, when I make an agreement to someone that they're going to receive a reading and they pay for the reading, and it's like we have that pact that I'm going to offer them this service of a reading and tuning into the energy and whatnot. By the way, I'm wearing my absurd psychedelic unicorn shirt right now. Yeah, cozy day at home. So when I make an agreement with someone that I'm going to do a reading for them, oftentimes, as soon as that little door opens in my mind that says we are allowing ourselves to perceive and invite in the energy of this person that we're reading for, and instantly I will get a vision. I'll see a vision or a story or a snapshot of a scene play out in my head. And what I do is I notice the colors. I notice my view. Am I up above? Am I down below? Am I far away? What does the person look like that I'm seeing in this vision? What environment are they in? Is it light? Is it dark? Are the colors crisp? Sometimes the colors are perfectly crisp. Sometimes the colors are muted. Sometimes they're looks like they're cast in a shadow. Sometimes they're kind of blurry. So it's like I take into account all the layers of the visions that I see. And to me, because I've spent a lot of time in my life observing my own emotions, and I have a strong relationship with my visual capacity. So for me, I've kind of come to observe patterns of how I observe energy and how I observe things in general. And so, for example, for me, depending on the way that the light appears in a vision that I see could represent an emotional quality or a mental quality of the energy that I'm reading into. So when I read psychically and I look into these visions, I do my best to be as objective as possible, which is impossible at times because I am dealing with emotions and my own personal interpretation of them. So what I do to try to be as objective as possible is I observe the snapshot or the story of the image that I see before I do a reading for someone. And based on what I see and the way the light looks and any things that they might be doing or any angles that I might see them at, for example, it's a different energy when you're facing a person head on and you can see them clearly. I think that imagery evokes a sense of clarity, connection, honesty, forthrightness, directness, transparency. It's like, here is the person. You can see like the pores in their skin and the light in their eyes, and you can see all the details on them, and they're clear. It's a clear image. And so that translates energetically to someone who feels clear, is transparent, is, their energy feels like cohesive. Whereas sometimes I get visions where I see people and they're like far in the distance, and I get a 3/4 view of their, or I guess a 1/4 view of their face from behind. So to me, that could represent someone who is maybe a little bit more inwardly drawn, or there's some energy of like it could be a painful emotion. It could be something that they are paying attention to. It could represent a distraction, it could represent all these things. So I get these images, I kind of see snapshots of like usually people in environments or situations, and sometimes I see people and they're not even in environments. They're kind of just in these weird like Morphe like light voids, and the quality of the light and the texture of the overall image invokes different feelings in me. And so once I get that image, the way I interpret the feelings and the nuances and the visuals, like I was saying before, the light, or a shadow, or what the person is doing, or the angle at which I can see a person, those visual qualities I associate with certain emotions or feelings based off my own past memories, past experiences, and the way that I experience my own emotion. And because I'm very aware of that, of my emotional landscape, I spend a lot of time observing and paying attention. And also I have years of meditation practice, and that really helps cultivate psychic abilities and intuitive abilities. When I give the reading and I see the image, I offer my personal experience of what I'm seeing and the qualities in the visions of what I'm seeing. And I make sure to specify that at that phase, like when it gets into the emotions, when I'm reading into what this person might be feeling, I always like to make the disclaimer, and even if I forget, I'm making it now, but my intention every time is to draw a clear boundary between what I perceive and feel, or like what I'm projecting onto something versus what I'm simply observing. And, you know, I can't necessarily control the image. I mean, maybe I can, but you know, I don't consciously control like the images that I see. But what I do is when I receive them, I treat them like information. And then once I have the information, colors, textures, composition, like things that are objective, then I read into the qualities of those objects and the juxtaposition between those objects visually. And then I interpret them based on how they resonate with me. And that's how I read, basically. And it all has to do with, you know, my own relationship with my emotions and the things that I'm sensitive to, and feelings and colors and things like that. And this is a skill that I've been cultivating for 13 years now, like in different ways. I was gifted my first tarot deck when I was 13. I'm nearly 26 now. And I've always been very sensitive to energy and emotion and whatnot. And I've had so many experiences and things in life that have contributed to the skill set that I use now to read tarot and to do intuitive readings. So yeah, but that was just a little bit about how I interpret the visions that I receive when I do a reading or give tarot. And also I don't want to claim that the things that I see are right, or like, you know, the reality of what's going on. For me, it's simply a vision. And you know, the whole point of intuition, at least for me, is, you know, using intuition is allowing the information that appears to be observed and to be expressed. And that's what intuition is. You know, I think when people start paying attention to what they experience and what they see, they can come to recognize patterns within themselves, and then call upon those tendencies and patterns to start piecing together meaning and making associations and noticing even more patterns. And I think that like a huge aspect of intuitive development is like pattern recognition, because everything is connected and there's patterns in everything. And the more like honed you can make your observation skills, in my experience, this is what I found, the more refined I've made my observation skills, the more specific, you know, psychic feedback I've been able to give people. So just wanted to share that. If you are interested in booking me for a tarot reading, you can reach out to me either here on YouTube or on Instagram, which I will post my handles in the bio. If you're watching this in January 2024, I'm doing a special where I'm offering $11 Celtic Cross readings throughout the whole month of January, after which I will increase the price for Celtic Cross readings. And then starting in February, I'm going to create a Patreon with tarot readings. So I will have a section for collective readings and then for smaller individual readings, and they will be at lower price points, but they will only be accessible to a select number of people. So if you're interested in any of this, then send me a message, and I appreciate you tuning in. It was fun to share this. Hope it was useful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And until next time, take care.